the single largest issue that we deal with in workers' comp are pre-existing conditions and their impact on workers' compensation claims. The bottom line is that most people, I'm sure everyone in this room as I look around, have a pre-existing condition on some body part. I'm sure your back hurts this morning, your knees hurt yesterday. I always tell people this story. We're born with 6 millimeters of cartilage in our knees. When you die, it's probably about 1 or 2 or less than 1. And we've all heard the phrase bone on bone, okay? Bone on bone in the knee. I need surgery, I need knee replacement, whatever it happens to be. So pre-existing conditions are either a prior injury, typically, or in most people in this room would be the fact that we degenerate, we age, and then we lose cartilage, we lose space. The old phrase is that grandpa's a heck of a lot shorter than he used to be. That's true because you do lose cartilage and the various joints in your body. So pre-existing conditions are a very important part of our business, and we get involved because there's a question whether or not the person's current condition is related to the injury as opposed to a pre-existing condition. The employer has every right in the world to get medical documentation from an employer in any case. I always tell employees this: if you want to play in our sandbox, you have to sign a medical authorization to provide your past history, and you can go back as far as you think is appropriate. I've had cases where people had knee surgeries in 1975, and knee surgeries back then were a heck of a lot different than they are now today. So pre-existing conditions are a huge part of our issue. The question that was posed is, when are they compensable? When do I have to pay for someone who has this bad pre-existing condition? All right, back to my 6 millimeter story. You can have 1 millimeter of cartilage in your knee and have absolutely no symptoms whatsoever. But if an injury makes a prior asymptomatic condition now symptomatic, then we're involved, because someone could be walking around. This nice gentleman here could be perfectly fine. He has 1 or 2 millimeters of cartilage left in his knees based on his age and experience and his work over the years. And guess what? He twists his knee at work, and now he's in terrible pain. Now, the percentage of role that's played for by that particular work injury may be 10, 15, 25%. But for the injury, he would not be in excruciating pain, would not need the surgery that the doctor is now recommending. So in that particular circumstances, you buy that case. But having said that, and I'm sure to get you all nervous out there that all my workers have played football or whatever it happens to be, and they have all these pre-existing conditions. Where we get involved and where we dismiss claims is if a doctor believes that all that happened at work was what we call a temporary and self-limiting aggravation of a pre-existing condition. In fact, that's one of the favorite lines I write in my decisions. If I find something to be a temporary aggravation of a pre-existing condition, the same gentleman up here in the first row, if he has pain for a couple of months, it may be a compensable workers' comp claim, and you may have to provide treatment to this gentleman for the time being. But if a doctor says 3-4 months down the road that he's reverted back to his pre-injury status, so now it's everything based on his age and his experience and whatnot, then the workers' comp claim dies at that point. And I've dismissed several claims where I've made that exact finding, where someone has a severe pre-existing condition, they had a temporary aggravation, they were treated, they went back to pre-injury status, and then 8 months later, 10 months later, the person needs a surgery. Why? Because of the pre-existing condition, not because of that simple little minor aggravation that happened where someone twisted their knee walking down the stairs. So that's a very good question, and that's how we treat a pre-existing condition. But the bottom line is you can ask for whatever you want. It's called discovery, and we are a court of law, and my job is to make sure that everyone plays in the sandbox properly.